to do. He provides position versatility as well with his route running ability, but we watched him at Texas last year, and his ability to go get the deep ball was the thing that stood out to me. We're going to see yards after the catch from Matthew Golden. You can move him into the slot, and you can watch him win in one-on-one scenarios, but it's going to be able to take the top off the defense, much like we've seen Christian Watson do. When you got a dude that can run forward too, but also stop on the dime and get in and out of cuts, he's an absolute nightmare to match up with on the defensive side of the ball. You add him to what Matt LaFleur was able to do with Josh Jacobs last year in the run game, and he should be a big component to this play-action pass game that Jordan Love needs to implement and needs to use extremely well to take that next step on the quarterback tier.
Cheese eater. I like that. Maybe Manchenko guy? Are you a feta guy? Buddha?
Yeah, a little provolone is usually my go-to.
All right, we're going to find out what Matthew Golden's cheese of choice is this season.
Cheese. Provolone is a very bougie cheese. Let's go like American.
Well, are you surprised?
It's simple.
Only the
American
highest class over here. Highest class cheese.
We'll find out what kind of cheese Matthew Golden likes. Meanwhile, the Chargers were the first team to head to training camp and got big news after their first practice when wide receiver Mike Williams announced his retirement on Thursday. Williams played the first 7 seasons of his career in LA before spending last year with the Jets and Steelers before re-signing with the Chargers in March.
He's going to make a play, and when everything mattered the most, he was going to show up. That's what I'm going to remember most about him. It was an honor to play alongside him, to throw him the ball, and definitely heartbreaking, tough news to hear about, but we got his back no matter what. Thankfully, we've got a receiver room that continue to push each other. They compete, and they want to be the best, and thankfully we've got a lot of guys in that room that are going to go make plays.
That was Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert. Certainly a blow for him in this offense. Mike Williams was a go-to target for the QB. So with him out of the picture, how does this affect the Chargers offense?
It doesn't. I have zero concerns. He was a go-to target a few years ago, but last year he wasn't with the team. Last year, with this Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman-led offense, it was really a run-first, a run-heavy type of offense. And yes, you had your star stud wide receiver, but what did they do? They drafted in the first round, Ladd McConkey last year, but they drafted in the first round of Marion Hampton. 2 years ago, they drafted Joe Alt, offensive lineman, in the first round. And so they want to be run-centric and run-focused. That's what Greg Roman was when he was with the Baltimore Ravens. That's what he was back in 2011, 2014, when he was with Jim Harbaugh and the San Francisco 49ers. They're going to play defense. Chargers had a great defense. They're going to run the ball, and then obviously they have the accessory of the play action with an arm like Justin Herbert. So I have very little concern with this offense because they don't need multiple receivers. Last thing I'll say, when Jim Harbaugh got there, remember which 2 receivers left? It was Keenan Allen. It was Mike Williams. They still had a chance to be successful.
Hey, listen, Jim Harbaugh ain't worried nothing about y'all passing stats and these passing yards. Jim Harbaugh want to punch y'all in the mouth. And that's the reason he went out and drafted Hampton. That's the reason he brought in Najee Harris as the number 2 guy as Omarion Hampton gets acclimated to this offense. But we watched him go to the Super Bowl in his second year with the San Francisco 49ers. And that's the type of jump you're expecting to see from this year's Chargers. Justin Herbert has to become a guy that we can count on in the big games, in the big moment. You do that by having a great run game, by having protection, and then getting into the play action pass with Ladd McConkey, who we don't talk about enough as one of those rookies that was a huge upgrade at his position. I love to see what this team has done. I love to see the way that they're moving and building a team in Coach Harbaugh's image, and this is the year that we should see it come to fruition on the field.
RC, I know the Chargers and Harbaugh want to run the ball, but they do have a Ferrari at quarterback, so I do sense that they want to at least expand their vertical passing game a little bit, keep defenses honest. So Ladd McConkey, he showed he can work the middle of the field. They need more with a vertical threat. They got Quentin Johnston, who's been up and down. They still like him. They drafted Trey Harris. They're really high on him. They think he can be more of a complete receiver than he was at Ole Miss. And you got Keenan Allen is still out there. He would love to play in the West Coast. So a reunion to me feels, if not unlikely, at least possible.
But not necessary. If I could just say not necessary. Yeah. RC, you made the point about this Jim Harbaugh-led team back in 2012. I played for the Cardinals at that time. I played this team twice a year, every year. I don't remember many receivers. It was Michael Crabtree, and it was the running game. It was Frank Gore. It was the defense. And so they don't need, and that's who Jim Harbaugh is. Even when he was at Michigan, they were running the ball. It wasn't, with J.J. McCarthy, they weren't throwing the ball very often. And so to RC's point, it's not going to be a pass-happy type of offense. They are smash mouth. They are physical. Don't need a multitude of receivers.
And listen, guys, I get it that we think Justin Herbert is a Ferrari, but sometimes Ferraris need a lot of space in order for them to get up to top speed. Jim Harbaugh's not necessarily looking for that. It's not about stretching the defense just so you can be cute or stretching the defense just so you can have the statistics. It's about making the big plays when they count most. And I think that's where Justin Herbert needs to improve. That's where Justin Herbert needs to be this fast car, needs to be this sports car, needs to be this expensive unit that allows you to win football games. It's all fine and dandy that he could throw a football through a pinhole, but make that throw in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left and allow us to win a football game because the run game and the defense has kept us in it.
Cheese and cars, we've got it all here on NFL Live. Time to be an edge rusher or a wide receiver. Pittsburgh's TJ Watt became the league's highest paid non-quarterback again. He agreed to a 3-year, $123 million contract extension, $108 million of that guaranteed. $41 million average per year, setting the floor for pass rushers even higher than the deal signed this offseason by Cleveland's Myles Garrett, which pays him $40 million annually. So Myles Garrett and TJ Watt are 1 and 2 in sacks over the last 4 seasons. They are now the 2 highest paid edge rushers in the NFL. Nick Bosa got his money in 2023. But look at those other 2 names. Trey Hendrickson on that list, the 11th highest paid edge rusher by 2025 average. And Micah Parsons tries 67th. 2 guys waiting on new contracts. Micah Parsons had this to say Wednesday regarding the recent contracts that just came through. Quote, "The numbers got nothing to do with mine, and my numbers ain't got nothing to do with them. Like, I'm younger than Hendrickson. I mean, Hutchinson's coming off an injury. Everyone's circumstances is completely different. Hutch is coming off his 3rd year. Usually guys wait 4 years, so it just all depends." What? I mean, he's up there with Myles, so you know it's different. Everyone's circumstances is different. All right, Jeremy. We turn our attention now to what this means for other guys in the league who are waiting to get paid. What does TJ Watt's deal do for someone like Micah Parsons?
Well, Micah Parsons is in his own category. He's right. That deal has nothing to do with him because he's 26 years old and he's already on a Reggie White-type Hall of Fame path. So he can pretty much get whatever he wants at this point within reason. Now, the Cowboys are dedicated to paying him, but they do appear to be slow playing this like they do with a lot of their deals. You saw CeeDee Lamb didn't get his extension till late August last year. Parsons knows the game, knows he might have to wait a little bit longer, but from what I've heard, his frustration is more like, hey, we have a chance to do something special. I want to get this in the rear view, move on with my team. They're not in that space just yet, but the Cowboys should try to get this done. Tyler Smith, one of the top guards in the league, they're going to try to pay him too.
Listen, the Cowboys got to stop this, y'all. They got to stop with this contractual malpractice that they continue to do. It's not like the longer they wait, they don't sign people. Ezekiel Elliott years ago went to Cabo. He got his money. Dak Prescott got his money on the day of the first game. CeeDee Lamb became a receiver paid right under Justin Jefferson. It's not like they hold out, players get scared, and they get to sign them for less money. The money just keeps going up and higher for Micah Parsons. So let's get this deal done. Now, you look at where Micah Parsons is, and he's saying that their numbers, and this doesn't have to do anything with me. Yes, it does, because David Mulligetta, Micah Parsons' agent, is going to point to TJ Watt, and he's going to point to his age, and he's going to point to Myles Garrett, and he's going to point to his age and say, our guy is younger, and he's just as productive. If you're Jerry Jones, you want to get this done as quickly as possible. So not only your best defensive player, but one of your best leaders is signed, happy, and ready to go as you embark on this new season with new head coach Brian Callahan.
Jeremy, to RC's point, if Micah Parsons' agent is looking at the numbers and saying my client has a longer trajectory, he's 26 years old. The number that TJ Watt signed for, $41 million a year on an average. Like, what does that do to Micah Parsons' number? Is that potentially $43 million, $44 million?
I mean, all the above. That's what it's going to be. There's no chance that he will take a number below TJ Watt at this point. The stage is set for him, so waiting really benefited them. And the Cowboys seem willing to wait, maybe because they know we're going to talk about him for the next 8 months and they're going to stay in the storylines. But the price, as RC said, does go up, and it's problematic because he could put up 45 for all we know, and it would not shock at this point.
Sometimes it takes until the 11th, 12th, 13th hour for the Cowboys to do business, but certainly feels like that deal will eventually get done. One that we're not so sure about, Acho, is Trey Hendrickson. So he's a name that we've heard this offseason, feels pretty contentious between the Bengals and their star pass rusher who had 17.5 sacks last season. How do these negotiations affect him?
they absolutely helped him and they hurt the Cincinnati Bengals. Trey Hendrickson is actually more productive than any other pass rusher over the last 2 seasons. 17.5 sacks last year. He had 17.5 sacks the year before. No one in the NFL has more sacks than Trey Hendrickson over the last 2 seasons. But now I would question this. I would say this. Okay, the Cincinnati Bengals had an opportunity to pay Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and or Trey Hendrickson. They made their decision. They paid Jamar Chase and they paid T. Higgins. And all of a sudden, Trey Hendrickson is saying, okay, y'all decided on them. My number's not going lower. It's actually going to go higher. And so I don't see this playing out well for the Bengals, but I see it playing out well for Trey Hendrickson. Why? Because some other team is going to be willing to pay him 42, 43, whatever he desires because of the production that he's putting forth.
Yeah, Alcho, this one's complicated and sticky because the teams have been talking for a while. They resumed talks earlier in the summer. That's a good sign, but it has not gone anywhere. And he's a player that wants long-term commitments here. He's 30 years old. He's got one last crack at this. He doesn't want like a one-year deal at a high number like a Danielle Hunter did in Houston. He believes he's at least close to that group of T.J. Watt and those guys. He doesn't expect a number that high, is my sense. He just wants something reasonable, commensurate with his skill set as one of the best sack masters in the NFL. The Bengals operate a little bit differently than Pittsburgh, where with Watt, they saw a legacy player that we have to get done. The Bengals could draw this out a little bit longer. They're hoping that training camp creates some urgency in the next week.
But see, though, that's the thing, right? Is Trey Hendrickson seen like Myles Garrett? Is he seen like T.J. Watt? Is he seen like Michael Parsons? He's not. And I don't believe not only in his building, but in other people's building. And yes, he's highly productive. I think he's an extremely talented player, a player that's shown that success on the field. But if he was on the trading block, you know that other teams would have jumped at the chance to get Myles Garrett, which is why Myles Garrett money went to where it is. The same thing with T.J. Watt. It would be the same thing with Michael Parsons. And so the conversation Trey Hendrickson has to have is the one Jeremy Fowler is talking about. Don't make me the highest paid, but put me in the top 3. Put me in the top 4 because my play say I deserve that. Will the Cincinnati Bengals step up to the plate, or what is some other team willing to give up for Trey Hendrickson while guaranteeing him that sort of money?
Yeah, we heard from Executive Vice President Katie Blackburn of the Cincinnati Bengals back at owners' meetings, drawing a line in the sand between the organization and their star pass rusher. Quote, I think he should be happy at certain rates that maybe he doesn't think he'd be happy at. Doesn't sound like the sides are close at all on that one. All right, let's get into some of our top stories across the league, starting with another player waiting on a new contract. Jeremy, what more can you tell